Okay. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So, the idea today is I want to change your lenses. So even if you don't wear glasses, we all have a lens that we see the world through. And I would like to change your lens so that you realize that something's going on. Okay. I grew up here in Crown Heights. And when I was your age, I used to go to the rallies by the Rebbe. We'd come in, I was in Ocean Parkway. And we used to sing a song. I think I was there when they just taught it the first time. Am Yisrael, have no fear. Mashiach will be here this year. When you hear that, that's very exciting. That was many years ago. So what happened? What happened to this year? That's a very long year. It's like 30 years already. So what happened was that when I got a little older and I went out in Shliach to California, and my children were born, and I was teaching in Hebrew schools, teaching the children, and we had camp, Gan Yisrael. We had to sing the song to the kids. Am Yisrael, have no fear. Mashiach will be here this year. And I'm listening to myself teach the children, Mashiach will be here this year. And I remember when I sang it, and I thought it was going to happen this year, the same thing could happen to the children. And what happens if Mashiach doesn't come this year? So I started getting, what's that stuff called? Like anxiety. What am I doing? What am I teaching these kids? So I went to some older chassidim and I said to them, what's going on here? When's Mashiach coming? I mean, it's been so long. You know what he told me? He said, ot. You know what that means? Very soon. It's Yiddish. And some people say, if you count ot, which is aleph, tes, 2 times, that's 20 years. Ot. This was even more than 20 years since we last heard that Rebbe tells Mashiach's coming. So I had a lot of questions, and I wanted answers. So I started searching. And then something very interesting happened. Let me show you. I went for Pesach to my brother, who's a Shliach in Missouri, in Chesterfield. And you know what happened? He invited my family and my 6 children. He invited my sister and her 7 children. Lights? Yeah. Thank you. And my parents and my brother. It's a lot of people. How are we going to fit in his house? So across the street from his house, just down the road, there is a yeshiva. You're looking at pictures of the yeshiva now. Nice, huh? Yeah. You think the yeshiva built this place? They didn't. They bought it. They bought it for not so many dollars compared to the size of this place. It's a gorgeous big building. Do you know what this school used to be? A school for the deaf. You didn't hear me? It's a school for the deaf. It was one of the bigger schools in the country. I don't know if it's high school or college, maybe both. And they would go from wherever they lived, and they'd come together in a very quiet school. It was opposite of this school. Can you imagine? It was very quiet because there's no noise. There's no point in making noise. No one could hear you. It was all a whole bunch of people who were deaf. And they closed down. So they sold it to a yeshiva. So they renovated it not too many years ago. You see the lights over here. There's like a lot of light comes in. It's very beautiful because they can't hear the students, but they can see. So that let's make it bright and a beautiful environment. Even though if they can't hear, at least they'll be able to see. So, do you remember this place, Randall? So we were there for Pesach, and we made a connection with what it says in the Torah. There was a Navi who lived about 3,000 years ago. What did he say? He said that when Mashiach comes, the eyes of the blind will be opened. They're not going to be blind anymore. And the deaf will be able to hear. And now we're spending Pesach in a building that was for deaf people that's closed down because now they can hear. Has anybody ever seen, just raise your hand if you have seen, someone that has like a like a circle, little circle behind their ear, and it comes down into their ear like a little wire. It's not hearing aids. It's called a cochlear implant. And basically, this is something, hearing aids help someone who can hear better, right? Someone gets older, they're losing their hearing, they give them hearing aids. This is someone who can't hear. They're completely deaf, they can't hear anything, and they install, it's a special implant that they put inside their ear, it's a technology, and it allows them to hear. Now let me ask you a question. From the time the Navi said it, this was 3,000 years ago, that this is going to happen in the future, in the times of Mashiach, how many deaf people were able to hear up until now? 0. And now, millions. How do you know? Because the school closed down. Millions of people around the world who were born deaf or became deaf can now hear. And we're getting better and better at this in the medical scientific world, where more and more people are able to hear. What else does it say? Look at the first part of this pasuk. Einei ivrim, the eyes of the blind. So check this out. Audio. Ready? Let's see if we got it.
His central vision is completely gone. But that's about to change at Oxford's John Radcliffe Hospital. But this will be a world first. Never before has a robot been used to operate inside the eye. Inside, it removes a membrane just 100th of a millimeter thick, shown in blue, which is covering the retina, allowing the hole in the retina to close.
Hold on. I just want to explain what's going on over here. Did you see that little blue film that they showed before? Okay. I looked it up on Google, and they say this is the #1 cause of blindness in the world. Okay? So how many blind people do you think have this problem? Millions, right? Okay? Millions of people have this problem where they can't see. Or they're born, it's usually something where they're born, they can see, and then they start losing their sight. Here, we're able to finally, this is in 2016, not so long ago, go inside with a robotic arm and remove it. Does anybody know how thick 100th of a millimeter is?
Extremely thin.
It's so thin. That means the doctors would go inside and try to take that off an eye. There's no way they can do it. Everyone take your hand and put it in front of your face like this. To just try to keep it where it doesn't move at all. Is that possible? No. It's going to move even if you have the most steady hands. Your hands are going to move a little bit. That little movement that you do will cause blindness. They'll do more damage than good. You'll never have them see. It's impossible. But now we have this AI, an artificial intelligence program, that knows, it's smart enough to know how far the doctor wants to go and not further. And because it's a computer, it can go down to 100th of a millimeter. So they're able to take that off, and now they can see. Check this out. What happened? Let's try. Here we go.
Just a few days later, and the results are clear.
I can see it's 22 minutes past 9. Really? Actually, yeah.
So you just saw a miracle. You saw a person who was blind, and now he can see. Did you see the doctor with that guy with the red shirt? He was holding his eyes up. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because if the eyes don't work, the muscles around atrophy and they basically die. And his eyes can't open. He didn't even have the ability. He had no need because he couldn't see for so long.
And people blind from birth?
I don't know. The first guy you saw, he wasn't. He was losing his vision. And did you see the black dot? Did you see the sign, the black dot? That's what it was becoming, like the central, wherever he looked, the middle was black, and then it was growing, and eventually he becomes completely blind. This is the opposite, where he's able to take it away, and now he can see. Just 3 days later. And this other guy, I don't know his story, I just found him on the internet, and he was blind, and now he's not blind. And you see it in front of your face. So now, what happens? You start realizing something. I'm trying to change your glasses. You're starting to see something going on in the world today that you see what the Torah says, and we're waiting for it, right? We're waiting for Mashiach to come. We're waiting for the Yemais HaMashiach. We're waiting for the days of Mashiach. We're waiting to see when is this stuff going to happen. And I'm showing you right now that it's already happening. And we'll speak in a few minutes about some other interesting things. So here's another one. The Navi said that the lame means someone who can't walk. Has anybody ever seen someone who doesn't have a leg?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I remember when I went out to Poway on Shliach, there was a guy who was in the war, and he lost from his knee down. He had like a stump from his knee down. And he had to go in a wheelchair all the time, even though he had a fake leg, but it hurt him. It caused kinds of pain. And when he would walk, he would, like limp terribly. So it was easier just to go in a wheelchair. That was when I went out. That was 17 years ago. I know it sounds like a long time. It's really not such a long time ago, 17 years ago. Now I see people walking around like this guy. You see his second leg over there? Yeah. I see them. And you know what's the funny thing is? If they wore pants, you wouldn't be able to know that they're missing a leg. But somehow they're proud and they wear shorts, so you can still see they're missing a leg. And it's amazing. I once saw a guy in Home Depot. He works there. I said, "Excuse me, I have to ask you a question. Does it hurt? Does it hurt to wear this? Because I had a friend who couldn't wear his fake leg. It hurt." I said, "No, I wear it all day. It doesn't hurt me at all." And he walks around like anybody else. He's missing a leg, and you used to be a person like that would either have crutches or a wheelchair, like I said, and now he's walking around. He works at Home Depot. He does whatever he wants to do because of this. Check this out. It's very cool.
I don't think I'll have to go to Rambam.
Same thing?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Okay, it's all right.
I'm just looking at it from here. I mean, if he was wearing long trousers, you wouldn't realize that he's wearing enough to right?
Okay, let me introduce these guys. This guy over here, he's missing an arm. You'll see in a few seconds, the actual one of his arms is missing. This guy over here was sitting in his office in the back, and the interviewer came inside to greet him and said, "Hey, nice to meet you." He stands up from his seat. He walks him all the way down the hallway into this room where they do this testing on the ankle. Okay, there's an artificial ankle. Now watch what happens.
Just worked it out, otherwise I'm wearing two right now. Wow, let me show you. Oh wow, this is amazing. It's a fully articulating ankle, so it adapts. It can walk slowly. I can suddenly accelerate out. Stop immediately. The ankle has no idea what I'm doing. Then how does it know when it's supposed to give power, which is responding to my body? The ankle has no idea that I'm going up.
How many of his feet are touching the ground?
0.
0. He's in the air completely. There's a man with no legs. He's running up the stairs with both feet off the ground. What does the pasuk say? The pasuk I just showed you. The people who have no legs will jump, will leap. You're seeing it right now in front of your face. This guy has no legs. You see it, and he's running up the stairs as easily as you can run up the stairs. This is called amazing. And you know what? The guy says it right now. It's amazing. They developed this ankle that's able to move very easily, and it gives the people ability to walk. One leg, two legs, they could just move. It's incredible. If you know what goes on, like in Eretz Israel now, they have people that are completely paralyzed. They can't walk. They haven't walked for years. What they do is they sit in a wheelchair, and their whole life is from here. Well, everyone they see, everybody's up like this. They can't get up out of the seat because their legs don't work for whatever, an accident or something happened. Now they have this thing called Rewalk. It's like an exoskeleton. It connects to the outside of their body, and it's like robotic, and it helps them walk. They can walk. And one of the things he said is it's so nice to be able to look someone in the eye directly. You take it for granted. You don't even realize it. Maybe the younger guys, or when you guys were younger and you went 770, and you maybe just put on a hat for the first time, and you're trying to go through the squeeze in 770, and everyone's squishing your hat because everybody's up here and you're down here. Imagine like living like that all the time, especially when you're used to being up here, and then you get put down there. It's not easy. But they don't have to be like that anymore because we have the ability to change it. Oh, back to no sound. By the way, part of this talk is how amazing technology is. And every single time I make a presentation, the technology gives me a hard time. So far, hasn't missed. It's Hashem's way of saying. Okay, I have to pause it again, unfortunately. What does it say? Read with me. Let's do it in English. In that era, what era? This is from the Rambam. The Rambam says, in that time, Moshiach comes, there will be neither famine or war, envy or competition, because good will flow. Stop. What's the next word? In abundance. Listen to this. The Rambam said that Moshiach comes, good will flow in abundance. Okay? You know what abundance means? I'll tell you what abundance is. I was at a Farbrengen last night on Kingston Avenue. I was just strolling up Kingston Avenue, and I heard somebody singing. So I went to a shul, and there were some kids, 16-year-olds, having a Farbrengen. And on the table, they had plates and cups and soda and cookies and all kinds of yummy things for a Farbrengen. What do you think they did after the Farbrengen? They took a garbage can. They took the whole, you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. You take the whole, like in camp, the tablecloth. You throw the tablecloth away with the plates, with the cups, with everything. You just throw right in the garbage. Now, if you had a time machine and you jump back, let's say 70 years, and you went to your Bubby and your Zaidi, or Elta Bubby, Elta Zaidi, yeah? And you went over to them. And you said, when you're finished eating, do you throw away your plates and cups? They would say, are you kidding me? What kind of... They would think that their great-grandchild is not so smart, which would be sad because you really are. And you throw away your cups and plates. How could you throw them away? In the whole history of the world, no one ever threw away cups and plates. And you just throw it away because we have so much. And the way it's made, no one cleans plastic cups. You just throw it away. So what does that tell you? So for you, it just says it's easier. But the truth is that we're living with a lot of things. That's called abundance. But that's just the beginning of it. And all the lights will be freely available. What's the song you sing at camp? You say, on the trees will be growing candy. Maybe it's not, they don't sing it anymore. So on the trees will be growing candies. That's an expression of how easy things are, how much you're going to have. It's not going to be a problem. Candies, meaning the good things will be on the trees. Just take them off. All right, let's see if this works. Watch this. What's better? You have it here? Okay, thank you. Don't look now. That skips. That's okay. Is it? Oh, beautiful. Okay, good. Thank you. Did you show it to the kids already?
No.
Okay, good.
No, he's just giving me.
Okay, you ready? No. Neither am I. Here we go. Okay.
Double tap on the middle of the screen.
Hector has shown us that, in fact, we're living during the most peaceful time ever in human history.
Wait. This guy, whose name is Peter Diamandis, he's a very, very cool guy. I really like him a lot. He's Greek. Not a Yid. He's Greek. He doesn't know about maybe Hashem. I don't know. I didn't ask him. He doesn't know about the Rambam. I don't think he went to yeshiva. So he wasn't, you know what I mean? He's not coming from Crown Heights. And he's talking about things that the Rambam said. Exactly. He just now said we're living in the most peaceful time. When Mashiach comes, will there be wars? Now, right now, in your lifetime, when you're living in Crown Heights, there's less war in the world. Much, much less war in the world. The world is much closer, even in Africa. If you know what happened in Africa, it's very interesting. Because a couple of years ago, there was terrible, terrible poverty. People are very, very poor. And what happened was, there were people getting money from America and getting food. And they were very corrupt. They're very bad. So what do? They keep all the food for themselves. And they only give it out to people they like. So they have more control. That's how politics works, right? What happened was people started getting old American smartphones. And even before smartphones. When by us, we was normal, they started getting them in Africa. And they started to text each other like a network behind the controllers. And they would start doing trade with each other. And you know what happened with the African life? their lifestyle started going up and up and up. People started getting more food, more money, helping each other. If this guy grows too many radishes and this guy grows too many carrots, they switch it. But before that, they weren't able to communicate. And some people controlling them. And now, who said about Africa? Someone said about Africa, their life is getting much better. In Eretz Yisrael, they're coming up with all kinds of incredible things that help people. Now, you and me, we don't need all these things because we're so lucky we live in this country. We have basically every need and 99% of what we want. So sometimes when someone wants to give you a present, they're like, I don't know what to give him. He has everything. That's our new problem. But in other parts of the world, when they don't have food, they don't have money, they don't have water, clean water. I mean, if they want to drink water, you don't even think about it. They have to look for some water someplace, and it's usually full of dangerous things that hurts their stomachs or worse. So we are so lucky here. But in those countries, these new things are helping them. Like they can get a little solar panel on top of the house and they get light at night. Usually when it gets dark in those countries, everyone goes to sleep because they don't have money to burn a candle like it was in the olden days. Today, they have some light for a few more hours. They can get more done. Their lives are getting much, much, much better. I'll show you maybe soon, if that thing downloads, some of the stats.
Series of forces are in fact accelerating to a point that we have the potential in the next
Listen.
decades to create a world of abundance.
He said a world of abundance. That's exactly the same words as the Rambam said.
We truly are living in an extraordinary time. Ladies and gentlemen, what gives me tremendous confidence in the future is the fact that we are now...
Do you know why I'm showing you a TED Talk? That's not a Jewish thing. Why am I showing it to you? You know why? Let me tell you something. What would you prefer? Would you prefer to learn about Mashiach in a sefer, or would you prefer to see Mashiach being spoken about at a TED Talk? It's everything. It was always in Sfarim. It was never in the world. Now it's finally in the world. That's what we want. When you do a mitzvah, the reason why you do the mitzvah is to bring Mashiach. It's working. Your mitzvahs are working, guys. You could see. I mean, this guy. Do you expect a guy with leather pants like that to talk about the same words that the Rambam said? I didn't. So I was very excited about it. You should also be. He's not talking now.
To take on the grand challenges of this planet. We are living into an extraordinary decade ahead. Thank you.
With my hand?
Yeah. Fast. Make it full speed right now.
Gotcha. Okay. Has anybody heard of Chaim Nitzchim? What is Chaim Nitzchim? That's when you don't die. So I asked this question. I gave this talk, by the way. You were saying I gave a talk in Huntington Beach in Chabad in the school Chabad Hebrew Academy, also to teenagers. And I asked them who wants to live forever, and not all their hands went up. I said, no, I mean live forever, healthy, young, strong, and then a lot more hands. So let me ask you a question: who here wants to live forever? Okay. If you didn't raise put your hands on. If you didn't raise your hand, I want you to talk to the principal afterwards. We'll discuss it. But seriously, if you went into an old age home, has anybody ever gone to an old age home? Let's say there's people there, all ages, they're older, yeah? And you ask them a question. You ask them a question. Who wants today to be your last day? They're not going to raise their hand, even though they're old and they're weak. It's true, some of them do because they're in a lot of pain. But if they're not in a lot of pain, they don't want that day to be the last day. They want to live. People want to live. And the reason why we want to live is because Hashem created us in that way. Animals want to live. All things have a desire to live, which is a good thing. The only reason why we don't live is because of Geulah. That means, naturally speaking, we're supposed to live forever. But then things happen. It's a long story. I don't want to go into details. And now it's become normal that people pass away. That's not okay. When Mashiach comes, no one's going to die. The Rebbe says that it quotes someplace that says that even it says when the Nar will be 100 years old, he will die. The Rebbe said that, and it's talking about Goyim. It says even in Goyim are not going to die when Mashiach comes. Obviously, maybe in the beginning, those people who are completely evil have to be eradicated. That's what the Torah says. They'll be gone. But after that, the good Goyim or good people in the world, nobody dies anymore. Death is over. There's no place for death anymore. So this thing here, you're seeing a video of, and by the way, when I went to Mitzvah, I was your age, and I would tell someone, excuse me, sir, like I was maybe littler. I said, that people are not going to die when Mashiach comes. And they always did the same thing. They rolled their eyes and they were like, oh my gosh, these little Lubavitch kids, what's wrong with these guys? What do they think? Say, okay. Yeah, we're not going to die. Mashiach comes. Very good. Very good. Yeah. What else? Do you want to sell me a bridge? Like, they didn't believe it. It sounded so crazy. Today, if people tell you that you're going to live forever, you say, you're like, duh. It's a normal thing. There's articles that maybe it's, is it on? Okay. Another thing it talks about when Mashiach comes is Tchias HaMesim. When people already passed away, they're going to come back to life. So I was looking to see where can we see it in today's world. Maybe yes, maybe not. Not everything it says is already here. But this guy's talking about, look what he says. Resurrect. I just love the fact that this man, whoever he is, a scientist guy, and almost 500,000 people watched his talk in that day. He's talking about resurrecting, bringing back this frog that's not alive anymore, and a tiger that died. The Tasmanian tiger doesn't exist anymore, and they're talking about bringing it back to life. So now I'm thinking, wow, it's not a jump anymore. If I went to Mitzrayim now and I told someone, when Mashiach comes, we're going to live forever, and the guy's like, yeah, right. I'm like, hey, check this out. We're already talking about bringing things back to life. It's incredible. What does this guy talk about? The dawn of de-extinction. Are you ready? So now what happens is, as soon as people see this, they're like, oh, there's going to be dangerous things all over the place. That's because you expose yourself to too much shtusim. And Hollywood loves to talk about these things like everything's bad. Everything in the future is bad. When the robots come, they're going to take over the world. When we're going to bring animals back, they're going to take over the world. It's true that Hollywood says that, but it's completely not true that that's going to happen. And the proof is two things. One is that it hasn't happened. All their predictions of doom never work out. The world is better than it's ever been before. That's number one. Number two is we know that Mashiach comes. Hashem didn't create the world for no reason, to make it so that we all suffer and die. The opposite. So we have something on our side. Okay. This guy wrote a book. Does anybody know what book it's called? No? It's Facebook. It's a very, very popular book. We may bring that. Whatever. Details. Now, he's a Yid. He got up. This was 3 years ago. He got up in front of the whole world on stage. And I didn't write those words. He put them here. Can we cure all diseases in our children's lifetime? That's pure Mashiach talk. Okay? No one ever said this when I was a kid. No one ever spoke like this. Now they're talking about it. Do you know how much money he donated that day to make sure that we could be successful at curing all diseases? $3 billion of his own money. Now, that's a lot of money. He believes it's real. You don't just give, not 3 million, 3 billion, $3,000 million so that we could actually cure diseases. And I have articles that actually talk about these new methods that they're talking about right now that we might be able to take away almost all diseases. Already now we're working on it in the world. This is real stuff, guys. This is not make-believe. This is not hopeful, wishful. This is real in your life. Okay, we're almost done, and I want to take questions at the end. This is so cool. What year are we in? I got this in 2015. It says hospitals maybe no more. No more hospitals. So you say, how could that be? What does that mean? No hospitals? That's impossible. Where sick people go? That's because you think like Gullahs. You think sick people. What happens? Nobody's sick. How could that be? How could people not be sick? So let me give you an example. This was in Chabad Poway about a year ago. My friend, I'm not going to mention his name because he might watch this. I didn't know it was recorded. My friend came to shul. It was Friday night, and he wasn't feeling well. He told me he was having chest pains. He's probably 70 years old. So I said, maybe you should go to the hospital. He said, I was going to go, but I didn't want to have to sit in the emergency room and wait for 8 hours. I figured I'd come to shul. There's a lot of doctors in shul. And in shul, I'll get the doctor. He'll check me out. It's easier. So he came to shul. But that night, no doctors came. Not one doctor. I told Rabbi Goldstein. And Rabbi Goldstein ran to his office on Shabbos. He picked up the phone, called 911. You don't take chances. And in New York, you have ambulances. In where I live, you have like fire engines do everything. So the fire department came out, the paramedics, and I ran outside because they come to a building, they don't know where to go. So I was going to show them where he is to bring him inside. So I come running outside, and they jump off with their thing, and this guy has this big, like a attaché case, you know, like a no, not a stretcher, just the thing, a box. I don't know what you call it. And I said to him, my friend's inside. I'll show you where he is. He's having chest problems, you know, chest pain, heart problems. So the guy says to me, I'll never forget this because it was amazing. He said to me, "That's okay. We got it." He said, "In this box is everything that they have in an emergency room except for blood work." That means anything you can do in an emergency room is now in this guy's hand when he jumps off the ambulance to run inside any place he has to go. The entire hospital is in this box. Everything he needs. He could take his blood pressure. He could take his EKG. He could take, I don't even know what these things are. He could do all these things right there on the spot. It's like you have a moving emergency room. That was last year. What do you think it's going to look like in a few more years? When your device, whatever it is, can monitor all parts of your body. My watch tells me exactly how much sleep I get every night. Tells me how much deep sleep I get and how much light sleep I get. And if my daughter wakes me up in the middle of the night, like every night, so it tells me how long I'm up for. It says wake time, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. How does it know? Because in between, behind my hand, there's this little, you see the little green thing? Yeah? It's a sensor. And it just senses my heart rate or my blood. I don't even know what it does. I don't care. But I know it just tells me what I need to know in the morning. And if I'm really tired that day, I look at my app sometimes and I say, you know, oh, I didn't sleep last night. I only slept a couple hours, you know. So this is just the beginning, obviously. It's baby steps. But I'm going to show you soon why I think that even though we're in baby steps now, we're moving to giant steps this coming year. And the year after that, even bigger steps. You have some paper? Okay. So we're almost done here. And I'll show you one example. This is just a little thing that when I show the adults, not you guys, when I show the adults this thing, you know what they tell me? At this point, they stop me. They say, Rabbi, the world is the worst it's ever been. I watch the news. The world has never been this bad. There are more people dying, more people stealing, more people lying, more pollution, more global warming and climate change, more bad politicians, more population. Everything is terrible. The world is almost over. They wake up every morning after they watch their news and they feel like the world is about to end. There's only one problem. They're 100% wrong. It's exactly the opposite. The world is better than ever. It's just that the news, and I don't blame the news because they're just doing their job. What's their job? To tell you how bad things are. Right. Many years ago, a friend told me, he said, oh, I don't watch the news because it's not news. It's bad news. And I realized he's right. Almost never do they share good news. It's almost always bad news. So what happened was, baseball's not so bad unless your team loses. So I showed them this thing. It says that 2015 was the best year. And you know what? Afterwards, I found an article that says 2016 was the best year. You have to know where to look for it because it's not easy to find it. And after that, I found an article that says 2017 was the best. And 2018, 2019, every year is getting better. Why? There's a reason for it. Aside for the fact we're getting closer to Mashiach's times. Okay. Okay. I don't know who made this picture, but I want to thank them because I love it. What is it? It's like Yetzias Mitzrayim, but with cars. It's going out of Geulah, not when we left Mitzrayim, but now when we're going out of Geulah, now we're gonna have cars. Now they're not Teslas. They will be, but here's Moshe Rabbeinu, and here we go. It says caution Yosef's bones. In other words, it's combining the past of what you know about Mashiach and what's going on now, so that you can stop seeing these things as cool things, but start seeing them as Hashem's plan from the beginning. You know what the Rebbe told us? The Rebbe told us Mashiach's here. We have to open our eyes. What does it mean to open our eyes? We have to start seeing these things. When the Rebbe saw something going on in our world that was happening in Russia or someplace in the world, like for example, There was, the Torah says that Moshiach comes, we're going to take swords, things that you use for war, and turn them into plowshares, which is something means you could use it for agriculture. You can plant and grow more food so no people don't have to be hungry. So you're using something that was for killing people to saving people's lives. And the Rebbe said that they have a technology, this was then, where they plant trees using the same thing they do. Bunker busting bombs? Anybody know what that is?
Yeah.
So they drop it out of an airplane, right? And it explodes into the ground. So it's a special technology. They want it to go deep down. Now they're dropping trees so that trees can grow so we don't lose a forest. So they just fly over with a plane full of trees and they drop them down. So they're using exactly the same bomb, the war stuff, and they're using it to grow trees. So it's exactly what the Torah says is going to happen. It's happening now. I have a lot more examples like this. Maybe another time, next time, yeah. But for right now, I just want to explain one more thing, and I want to take questions, serious questions. Oh, two more things. First thing is like this. Why is it important that the world, the physical world, the Gashmiistic world, should do these things? Who needs them? Mashiach's going to come and change the whole world, and everything will be Nisei Nisim, miracles. Who needs it to? Why is this happening? Why is Hashem allowing the people of the world to change the world through technology, science? Why is that? So the reason is what I think, because of the pasuk that they taught us in camp. Did anyone have to do the 12 psukim in camp? Do you remember this pasuk goes like this? V'zeh kol ha'adam v'sachlis b'riyasai. So let me translate this to say, V'zeh kol ha'adam means this is not all people. This is the whole purpose of man, meaning everybody. V'sachlis b'riyasai, and the ultimate purpose of why Hashem made us and made you. And why Hashem created all the worlds. El Yoinim, the higher worlds, V'sachtainim, in this world. What is the answer? What's the end of it? You guys know? Liyais loy dira b'sachtainim. For Hashem, He wants a home in this world. What's this world? This physical world. Do you understand? Hashem wants this physical world. So what did He tell us to do? A mitzvah. How many mitzvahs are not connected to physical world? Very few. Give me right now, raise your hand. I want examples of a mitzvah. Everyone pick, I'm going to get 5 mitzvahs from you right now. Give me a mitzvah. Tefillin, physical. It's an animal hide. Mezuzah, same thing. Animal hide. What? Yes. Sukkah, physical. What? Candle, Shabbos, Neshek, yeah? Torah, Sa. Kashrus. It's all food. It's all physical. So other people think when you want to get spiritual, you want to get religious, you leave this world. That's what they do. They go on a mountaintop and they leave this world. Yidden, what do we do when we come? If you want to be a frum Yid, what do? You get involved in Gashmias. You do mitzvahs. You do a mitzvah. Mitzvah, almost all mitzvahs are related to the physical world. The reason is very simple. Because Hashem put in the physical world miraculous, incredible powers that we're first starting to discover now. So watch this. And this is an example. I want you to work. Can we turn the lights on? Thank you so much. Okay, guys. If you don't know this, you can answer. If you know this one, don't answer. Okay. This is a piece of paper. It's very thin. You can get a paper cut. That's how thin it is. If you fold the paper in half, how much thicker is it now? Twice as thick, right? Still super thin. I mean, look at that. That's seriously thin. Now, if you fold it in half again, it's 4. It's doubled. You see that? Look how thin it is. Super thin. Every time you fold it in half, has to be in half. It doubles. Now there's 8, right? So now I'm going to go around just really, really fast. Just show me with your hand. If I fold this paper 42 times, okay? 42, it's not possible, correct. But let's pretend I could double it. If I just put on top, I don't fold it, but I just double the paper, right? Pretend. Use your imagination for a second. And that's possible. If I folded it or doubled it 42 times, how thick would it be? I want you to show me over here. Show me with your hands. Quick. Like this? Yeah, this thick. Very good. Yep, teachers also. Okay, anybody? All right. Okay, very good. Very good. You know why you said that? Because your mind, the way Hashem made you, your mind works, you think in a line. That's how our lives work, right? If things get better in yeshiva, it gets a little bit better. If it gets worse, it gets a little bit worse. That's how things work. This is called doubling. When you double something, it's much different. You know how big this is? This is from here to the moon. That's how thick it was. Who showed me like this? That's 42 papers. This is doubling it 42 times. If you don't believe me, I'm going to show you right now how it works, okay? So when you double a piece of paper, listen closely, 42 times, it's as thick as from here to the moon. Now, what happens if you folded it one more time, 43 times? From here to the moon and back to Earth. Right. Why? Because it doubles. If it takes you 42 times to get there, only one more time gets you back to Earth. What happens if you do 109 times? That's it? 109 folds of a piece of paper? 109? So I'll tell you the answer. It's as wide. The reason why I said 109, because it's as wide as the universe, the known universe, which is billions of light years. So listen to me for 1 second, if you get this, especially teachers. This is a little bit esoteric. If you fold one piece of paper, guys, one skinny piece of paper, this one over here, yes? What's your name? You asked me my name. Zalman. I know, we went through that already. Double it. If you double this piece of paper, 109 times, that's it. Just one piece of paper, 109 times. It's as wide as the universe. Billions of light years. You know how far light travels in 1 year? The sun is 93 million miles away, and the light gets here in like 9 minutes or something, 13 minutes, yeah? That's 93 million miles. A light year is, I don't even know how big, it's huge. And this is billions of light years, just 109 folds of one piece of paper. So, it does. Yes, so watch this. So listen. What do they call you, Rabbi Cohen? Rabbi Cohen was very kind. He brought me a ream of paper to show it to you. Watch this. By the way, I did this on Shabbos. When I first figured out this calculation, I did it at my Shabbos table. Because before I tried it on you, I have to try it on my family. So I did it, and my wife said, no, you're wrong. So I said, usually I am wrong, but not this time. And I'll show you. And we went through the exact how it works. And she said, oh my gosh, it's real. Still wrong. Afterwards, because it's so hard for your mind to understand it that it just doesn't make sense. So watch this. Let's say you folded this paper 7 times. Let's do it together. You guys do the math with me. I need one person to count. Who's a good counter? You'll count the amount of times we do it, okay? Everybody else can do the math with me. 1 becomes, double it. 2 becomes 4 becomes 8 becomes 16 becomes 32 becomes 64, and then 128. How many was that? 7. That was 7 folds. You have 128 pieces of paper. Now let me show you, because this is where you're going. 128 papers about that much. This is 500, right? Now we're going to do 8. How much is that? 256. Okay, right there. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you go much higher because I can't do the math. Okay, 256, 512. That's like your computer, by the way. Do you know your computers run like this? Whatever. Okay, 512. So how many is that? 9. 9 doubles, and we're as thick as this thing here. Okay, you ready? That's just 9. We have to get to 42. Mister, what's your name? I like you. Okay, you ready? Here we go. So this one is 5 with 9. Now let's double it. This is, count, 10 doublings, right? This is 10. This is double, so this is 11. This is 12. Now we're starting to cover it. It's about this high. This is 13, right? Now double it. It's a little higher than the ceiling. That's 14. So 14 doubles, and we're already higher than the ceiling. Now, do 15. Now we're almost as tall as the building. 16, we're twice as tall as that. 17, 18, 19, now we're as tall as a high skyscraper. And then 20 times, you're already like where planes fly. Double that, and you're already in, well, 30 times you're already in lower orbit. 42 times you're 250,000 miles away by the moon. Did you see that? You can't fold it more than 7 times.
They made a giant paper. And they folded it like 11 times. I think it was that big.
Yeah, well, I just showed you. I mean,
they ended up doing it, crushed it. Every time they folded, they crushed it.
So don't crush, don't fold it, double it. It's the same thing. In other words, guys, This is amazing. But why am I talking about that? Who cares if you fold a paper 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times? What's the difference? You don't need enough paper for that. I'll give you one more example, and then I'll tell you why I'm talking about this. You good for time? Let's say you were into sports, and you went to a baseball game. And you sat on top of Yankee Stadium on the top row. Just your class. Nobody else was there. And your teacher, Rabbi, your Rabbi was there. And he has a water bottle in his hand. And he's on the big screen. And you can hear everything he says. He says, okay, guys, I know in class you don't pay attention, he says. But here, pay attention for a second. And he takes the water bottle and he drops one drop of water onto the floor in Yankee Stadium in the outfield. And then he waits 60 seconds, which is a minute, and he drops 2 drops. And then he waits another minute and he drops 4. He just keeps doubling the amount of water he's dropping in. My question to you is, how long will it take until you, sitting on the top row, has to tread water because the water is up above your head? Yeah. Forget the water bottles. How long would it take? How much?
22 times.
So the answer is less than an hour. In less than 1 hour, if you double the water, the entire stadium fills up. Just gives you an idea of how incredibly fast it is. Now, why is that important? I'm going to tell you right now. Our technology follows that trend right now. The Eibishter, don't think of it as something separate. Our technology is something that the Eibishter let us have. It says in the Zohar that when Mashiach comes, there will be explosion of knowledge. This is an explosion. This is happening. This is exactly what the Zohar says is going to happen. There's an explosion of knowledge right now in our world. Now listen to this. They already are made every day. So this phone, for example, is trillions of times faster than the computers that they started using 60 years ago. Trillions of times faster. It's unbelievable. And it's smaller. And this is an old phone. So this one, it's not even the newest technology. The new ones are much faster. It's incredible. This is going to continue to happen. And as it happens more and more, we're able to change our world even more and more. These changes are all physical, which is incredible. But we obviously need to change our ruchnis of the people in the world, which is what we're doing every single day also. That's a lot harder. I think that when Mashiach comes, he's going to change everybody very quickly. He'll teach them. He'll open their minds completely. But for you guys today, I just want you to realize, when you hear something new that comes to the world, a new technology, something like that, it's not random. It's all part of Hashem's plan to make this world his home. Right? So I asked the question, does anybody think the Beis HaMikdash, Hashlishi, the third Beis HaMikdash, which we're going to see today, Mitzvah Hashem, we're going on. Newsflash, you guys going on a field trip today. You're going to see the Beis HaMikdash Hashlishi, Mitzvah Hashem. Yeah, you didn't hear? She has come. Anyway. Do you think it's going to have Wi-Fi? Raise your hand if you think they're going to have Wi-Fi in the Beis HaMikdash.
Yes.
Okay, put your hands down. So people say no. The Beis HaMikdash not going to have Wi-Fi. And I was thinking, wow, that's so sad. Your house has Wi-Fi. It's connected. Everything's working. And Hashem's house not? That's not right. That's not right. So Mashiach comes today. In Mitzvah Hashem, the Beis HaMikdash will have Wi-Fi. If they come up with a new thing better than Wi-Fi, it'll have that. The point is, the Beis HaMikdash, the future Mashiach, is not different than you see it in the world today. It's just a lot better than that. Okay. Does anybody have a question? Raise your hand. If you don't call out.
I just want to point out one thing, and then if we have time, then we'll get the questions. It says in the Rambam that the only thing that's going to change before Mashiach comes and after is that we're not going to be under the rulership of the Goyim. Everything else in the world will continue. At the same time, we have all these promises. There's going to be Tchias HaMeisim. There's going to be everything is in abundance. People who are not walking will be able to walk. These things sound like miracles, but it says when Mashiach is going to come, the only thing that's going to change is that we're going to be under the rulership of the Goyim. So now that we've had Rabbi Rubenfeld's presentation, we see that it's not a contradiction, because everything that the Rambam promised is happening And at the same time, the world is
Normal.
behaving normally because all these things that Rabbi Rubenfeld was presenting to us are now accepted as the norm. So if Mashiach is going to come this moment, all these things, the world is gonna see like, yeah, this is normal. This is something that happened yesterday. And like, for example, the eye surgery, later on in the clip, it says it's an outpatient. You said it yourself, that they don't even know the name of the doctor. It's something so regular. So we're literally living in Mashiach's times, and things that you take for granted are something that years ago people said, oh, it's a miracle.
Yeah, your Bubby and Zaidi. You ask your elder Bubby and Zaidi, if you tell them what's going on right now, they'll say, oh, Mashiach came.
It's not just that. Things that they think now are miracles, in 5 years from now,
It's gonna be
the
normal.
kids which are in second grade, they're going to look at you and like, what? It's like normal because things are going to progress.
Says when Mashiach comes, the walls are going to talk to you. In my house, the walls talk to me. It's called Alexa.
The technology. By the way, I will. Before I give it back to Rabbi Rubenfeld, the technology exists nowadays. I'll just mention two things Rabbi Rubenfeld didn't mention. They have these contact lenses that serve as a screen instead of using a computer. Secondly, they have technology now that the windows of your house, the walls of your house display information and could give you information based on what you ask it. So what he is saying is not so far-fetched. If you have a question, quietly raise your hand. We don't have enough time for all. We will try to take 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
We'll hear.
What's your name? Just got rid of them? Got rid of the tanks? They don't need them anymore? It's quite possible. What's your name? Avi, go.
It says depending on whether you're thinking good or bad, depending on that, the floor will say, you can
Right.
Yeah, so how does that apply to today's?
That's a very good. He's asking a question. It says that the floor, depending on what you were thinking about when you went over it, will complain to you, right? Or you'll say, hey, what were you thinking? You stepped on me. Who gives you the right to step on me? I don't know exactly, but I'm trying to figure it out. But what I want to say is that they're trying to build ground now that actually interacts with the people, talks to you. It helps you. It tells you when to walk, when not to walk. It tells you where to go, how to get to where you're going faster. So already we're seeing where the ground is already basically talking to us. It sounded crazy. You didn't raise your hand. One second. Any other questions? You have one? Yes.
We said before that hospitals.
Yeah, no hospital.
How would they treat
How would they treat pregnant women? Because women can have babies, right? So already happening. Many people are having babies at home. And if there's complications, you'll have all the ability to take care of it without going to the hospital. If something is there, like a robotic, something that can help you completely, and it knows more than any doctors today. Even today, by the way, there are computer programs that are able to diagnose illnesses much higher rate than the doctors. That's now. I'm not talking about the folding in the future. I'm saying right now, the doctors were about 75, 79% accurate, and the AI, the artificial intelligence, was 95% accurate. But it keeps better. Every time it makes a mistake, it learns, and it gets 96, 97, 98, 99%. Yeah, question? Challenge?
I want to take this opportunity to thank Rabbi Rubenfeld. Allah, he's here for the Kitos, and he agreed to take a good hour and a half from his schedule to speak to you. I hope you guys appreciated it. And thank you very, 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 very much.
Don't keep it to yourself. Go home. Tell your parents what you heard. You're welcome.
Bye.